Summer routines live or die by how easy they are, and honestly, if something takes too much effort, I'm out. That's why Groons is my go-to. It's my one daily pack of gummies covering my greens, vitamins, and minerals. Plus, it has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli. No mixing powders, no giant pills, no hassle. I just rip open the pack and I'm done. They taste good and they make it easy to stay on top of my health, even when life gets busy. Save up to 52% with the code PODCAST at Groons.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
Welcome back to the Chin Music Show, our baseball show at TalkNorth.com. Today's lineup, LaVelle E. Neal III, baseball guru and columnist at the Star Tribune. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune and TalkNorth.com. We are coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studio, and we're presented to you by OnX Maps. Thanks also to Minnesota Masonic Charities and True Vision Institute. If you like the show, please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. Also check out the rest of our shows. Tons of hockey stuff. John Krasinski on the Wolves, Kevin Gorg on hockey, as well as Russo LaPanta on hockey. We have the Don Mitchell interview show, the Mark Rosen Sports interview show as well. And check it all out. We do appreciate it. We've built a lot of great stuff at the website. You should check it out. You will find things you like. Today, LaVelle, let's start positive. We'll get to a couple of negatives, but let's start positive. Byron Buxton is playing for the last year and a month the way we all dreamed he could play.
Yes, he is. Once again, the hundreds of games he's missed through his career has don't want to say deprived us, but has not allowed us to see Buck when he's at his best, when he's healthy, when he's running, and when he's at the plate. Those injuries, have affected his ability to see pitches and get in a rhythm and stay in a rhythm. And he's been healthy through the first month of the season. He's played back-to-back games. He's played outfield day games after night games. He's got a couple of DH days, and he's gotten a couple of days off. But we're looking at Buxton's stats right now. The man has 8 homers at the end of April. This is May 1st. Happy May Day, everyone. And Buck's got 8 homers. It's a 6-month season, so you can do the math there to just see what type of path he's on this year. If you're a Twins fan, you're excited to see Buck healthy and operating at full throttle, and that's what's happening right now. He absolutely obliterated a pitch from Kevin Gausman yesterday, kind of on the inner half of the plate. He was able to hit that inside pitch and drive it into the seats. I can't be nitpicking with Buck right now. I like he still tries to pull a lot of the pitches, but if you're looking for something on the outer half of the plate, you can still get around on it. I guess more power to you. I like to see him drive balls to center and right center a little bit, but I'm not going to be picky right now with what he's doing overall at the plate. And it looks like the Twins have a semblance of a batting order now. We know where Buck is going to hit, and Ryan Jeffers is hitting well, and Josh Bell has 20 RBI through the first month of the season, 20 or 21 runs batted in. So, you kind of have an idea where your first, and your fourth, and your fifth hitters are going to be situated here. So Derek Shelton is slowly but surely been able to craft a cohesive lineup here.
Yes. Also very impressed that, there are times when players have good Aprils and it means nothing. Just like some players have good spring trainings and it means nothing. Austin Martin, though, is putting together an offensive resume that seems fairly legit and sustainable. I'm not saying he's going to have a 900 OPS all year. That's not likely. But he's taking quality at bats. He has bat speed. He's athletic. He doesn't swing out of the strike zone. He looks like a legitimate player now, whereas he was kind of a project for a lot of years.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how the Twins trade for Austin Martin and say, okay, hey, we want you to hit for more power. Because that definitely is not his game. Yeah, that was not his game. I don't know how far it set him back, but I got to imagine it kind of slowed his development down just a tad. But as you pointed out, the man is entering May with an 899 OPS, 477 on base percentage. Okay, he's walked 19 times in 28 games. That definitely puts you in the top of the order somewhere. You know what I'm saying? He's in a place where he could be like a table setter, get on base with some people to drive him in. And it's really working right now. And it's great to see it come together for him at age 27. The Twins were infatuated with him coming out of the draft. They thought he was one of the best college hitters available in the draft. So they've admired him from afar for a while before they pulled the trigger on the deal that brought him to Minnesota. He's a capable outfielder especially when he throws to the right base. But you know what? That was like an opening day, mistake. I haven't seen him make many more mistakes since then. So, but he's the type of guy who's an asset to the lineup, man. And like I said, I spoke earlier about, Derek Shelton finding the right bodies to put in the right spots in the order. Austin Martin's early start is making it easier for him. And I will point out too, Jim, Martin had a strong second half of the season last year. He finished last year rather well, and he has used that to springboard into 2026. And that's the type of development you want to see, a guy taking advantage of a kind of a dire situation after that fire sale, making the most of it, getting playing time, finding his niche, and running with it a year later.
And now let's talk about a negative in the outfield. Matt Wallner continues to strike out at a ridiculous rate. He doesn't look like the adjustments he made to his swing and his leg kick have benefited him. How long can they keep him out there? And if they make a move, is there anybody at AAA who's really ready to come up and succeed? Because as we know, even a lot of great Twins did not succeed in their first 2, 3, 4 times up to the big leagues.
Yeah, when you talk about that, Jim, I keep thinking about Torrey Hunter and going up and down, and finally hearing the words you need to hear from Bill Springman, who was what level was that? Salt Lake City? I think it was Salt Lake City at the time. He was a hitting coach there, and finally was able to break through with Torrey and understand what to do with breaking balls, and it turned around. It happens. It happens in life. Sometimes you have to take a step back a couple times before you find yourself. Does Wallner have that ability? I'm getting nervous about it. Our Bobby Nightingale interviewed him a couple of days ago for a story, and he expresses frustration about how things are going. And yeah, he adjusted his swing. He changed his leg kick a little bit, which I'm all for. I always thought he kind of swung in installments and just didn't look fluid and smooth. And he would pick up that big right hand leg of his and bring it across the batter's box. I always thought he was cutting himself off and wouldn't be able to get to quality stuff on the inner half of the plate. And I thought this adjustment he was making was going to help him with that. It has not. That body has 40 homers written all over it. And he needs to figure out a way to harness it. I think I'm worried that he's running out of time. If he went to the Paul Molitor no stride approach, he could still hit the ball 420 feet. I wonder I know that's really hard to do for a hitter to have that drastic of a switch, especially during the middle of a season. But I just wonder if you want to get to a point where he needs to see the ball and just fire out without worrying about where his leg is, worrying about getting his foot down, which is a timing issue and all that. Is there someone ready in the minors to fill in for Wallner? There's a couple guys. Emmanuel Rodriguez continues to hit 110-mile-an-hour balls off his bat. He's got 6 home runs for the Saints in 24 games. It's always been kind of a challenge for him to stay healthy. He come down with some nagging injuries that will set him back. That's not happened yet. He's just 23 years old. It seemed like he would be one of the guys to come up. He's walked 22 times, which would be an asset. He's struck out 31 times, which is his MO. He doesn't swing at bad pitches, but he does miss in the strike zone. But it's kind of a weird skill set. I would have been all for Alan Roden to come up, but he's got a shoulder injury. He's out. Kyler Fecko is an interesting case. I don't think he's on the 40, man. At the beginning of the year, Brian Dukelman sat him down and said, Kyler, you're going to have to be patient here because I got Emmanuel Rodriguez, I got Gabriel Gonzalez, and I've got Gabriel Gonzalez, and I've got Walker Jenkins in the outfield. All right? You're going to have to be patient, man. So Fecko didn't play a lot for the last two and a half weeks of the year. Then people got banged up. They got injured. The Twins are trying Gonzalez at first base a little bit. So Fecko's gotten in the lineup. He's gone bananas. He's put like 100 points on his batting average. He's got an 842 OPS. He's got 7 homers. He would have to be put in the 40-man, which would be problematic. So I guess to stop talking for so long and give you some time to speak, I guess Emil would be the number one option if the Twins are ready to go that route. I just don't know if they want to see him have a healthier stretch before they pull the trigger.
Right. It's probably better for Emma if you let him dominate AAA before you call him up. But if you had to call somebody up, or if there was somebody at the top of your list, I think it would have to be Emma, because the number one problem young hitters have when they come to the big leagues is chasing, and he doesn't chase.
Right.
And if you throw him a fastball, he might hit it 500 feet.
Exactly. And the other guys who are either patient or missing the zone also get themselves into trouble that way, because we saw that with Edouard Julien taking everything. But sometimes you have to make that adjustment. I remember, Dougie Minkowicz would come in and take pitches and take strike 3. And TK had to tell him, said, look, you're going to be 0-2 all the time. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to be patient, you got to let it be known that you're going to you're going to spin on one here. And once Dougie made that adjustment, he hit 316 and was part of the resurgent Twins team. Emil probably has to go through that stage once he gets up here. I want to see him up here, but it's May 1st, and in a lot of cases in baseball, you get like the first 6 weeks to 2 months of a season, and then that's when teams start shaking things up and making adjustments. So I would say Wallner's probably got another couple weeks here, unless he really nosedives, really gets frustrated, starts breaking bats and just showing frustration where it's obvious they need to take a step back and kind of see the big picture again. I don't see anything happening immediately with him.
Let's get a little more into Wallner. Let's talk about Brooks Lee, the starting rotation, the bullpen, whether this Twins management should have done more with this roster to give them a little bit more of a fighting chance. Right now, though, we want to thank Aquarius Home Services.
The Aquarius Home Services in Connecticut Customer Appreciation Open House is happening May 1st through 3rd. Score up to 30% off Connecticut water systems, water filters 20% off, heating and cooling systems up to 30% off. Plus, huge savings on generators, water heaters, and more. Don't forget to bring a water sample for a free analysis. It's food, fun, and savings May 1st through 3rd in Little Canada at 694 and 35E. Details at aquariushomeservices.com.
Also want to tell you about Onyx Maps. In this case, the Fish app, onyxmaps.com/fish. Spring is the right time to explore new water. Fish are moving shallow, activity is high, and Onyx Fish helps you identify which lakes have the conditions and species you're targeting, including weather tools to know when to go, not just where. It's only $34.99 for the year. $34.99 for the year, less than a spool of good braid. Download Onyx Fish on the App Store or go to onyxmaps.com/fish and fish smarter this season. Roy Smalley is our resident hitting expert. He couldn't be with us today, but a lot of things you were saying about Wallner really sound like something Roy would say, which is, it kind of reminds me of Sano. When you have as much power as Wallner and Sano have, you don't need to gear up. You don't need to try to pull everything because you have so much power. You can hit the ball with a normal swing and it's going to go out. So I feel like both Sano and Wallner, because they're trying to hit 500-foot home runs to their pull field, it leaves them vulnerable to everything on the outside corner, anything off the plate they swing at. They can get jammed inside. It's like as Roy always said, when you're trying to hit the ball that far to your pull field, there are only a couple pitches you can really hit. You're kind of vulnerable to everything else.
Yeah, plus you're making yourself a one-trick pony, too. Feast or famine. And Sano couldn't keep up with adjustments either. I mean, when he came up, he could drive the ball to center field and right center. And then teams immediately started busting him inside. He got real conscious about that, opened up his stance so he could hit the inside pitch. And then he got in other trouble. And then when they found out if you got to 94 miles an hour with your fastball, he could not catch up to it. And then that just added another layer. Right now, I don't think Wallner has been down that road in terms of having to catch up with how pitchers are adjusting. I think he just needs to find a way to get the bat hit out there, man. And then we can see what type of hitter he can be. So I will say this. You never know when the light bulb's going to go off. I didn't think Trevor Larnach should be on the roster coming into the season. I didn't think they should bring him back. I thought they should go in another direction. I have to admit, Larnach's been functional. He's been functional. He's got more walks and strikeouts. Is that right? He's got a 424 on base percentage. Yeah.
Yep.
He's bat 269. He's got 820 OPS. He has made himself a functional offensive player. I didn't think it was possible, because once you get to like 1,500 at bats, usually you are what you are. And Larnach's 29 as well. So Wallner is 28. So maybe there's still time for the light bulb to come on with Matty. It'd be great because, he's a Forest Lake guy and a local product, and people would like to see that happen for him. But Larnach's telling me that, sometimes you can't just give up on someone.
Which leads me to Brooks Lee. I've been down on Brooks Lee in general because I see a guy who isn't a particularly good athlete, doesn't have a lot of range in the field. I'm not sure he's an everyday big league shortstop defensively. So he's going to have, to me, for him to have value, he's going to have to produce OPS numbers. He's going to have to produce home runs, extra base hits, walks, instead of just kind of poking singles around. Sometimes he looks like a slap hitter to me. I'll give him credit. The last few weeks, he's been ripping the ball. He's been swinging with authority, and that's what I needed to see.
Yes, I agree. That was my concern about him at the end of last year, was that you look at the OPS, you look at the numbers, and he's just not driving the ball, and he doesn't have to hit home runs for me. I just want to see some live drives off the bat, live drives in the gaps. That's what, and Brooks has 5 homers, which, is not shabby for him.
No.
And he's driven a few balls that I didn't think he was able to drive. So there's slight improvement there. There's definitely slight improvement. He's got plenty of time to get things turned around. Actually, 2 weeks ago, he was actually swinging it really good. He's kind of dipped a little bit recently here. I'm still going to be patient with Brooks. But you're right, Jim. If you're going to play shortstop the way he plays, because the range is not, we're spoiled by Carlos Correa here. He doesn't have that type of range. He has to put everything into. He almost reminds me of David Eckstein playing short, how he has to get everything into his throws in order to get people out, But he's starting to hit a little bit. So I'm willing to kind of wait and see. Kalen Culpepper got off to a good start at St. Paul. He's kind of cooled off now. He had that illness a couple weeks ago that went through the locker room, the clubhouse there. And I think that kind of zapped some strength from him. But it's not like Kalen's tearing it up right now for the Saints. So there's time here to see if Brooks is how Brooks is going to run with this and move forward. But I had the same concerns that you did.
David Eckstein, he reminded me of one of the great nicknames, most apt nicknames in baseball history. His nickname was Just Enough.
Yes.
He had just enough range to get the ball, and he had just enough arm strength that if he put his whole body into it, he'd get the base runner out by half a step. He could not, he didn't have much of an arm, didn't have tons of range, but he just always kind of just barely made the play.
Yeah, and I mean, where's Brooks going to move from short? Because you've got your guy Keisha at shortstop. You're not going to move him, although he's been struggling lately. And you got Royce Lewis at first base. So third. Sorry. Yeah. So there's nowhere for Brooks to go. He's got to make it work at shortstop for the time being. While everybody's looking, at Culpepper, and I guess Merrick Houston got off to a good start too in his first full season in the organization. And I'm rooting for Brooks. He just looks like an old school ball player, because his body is not built by Adonis by any stretch of the imagination. That uniform kind of wears him instead of him wearing a uniform. But he looks like a guy who's going to get dirty, who's going to put his nose in all the dirty areas in order to try to figure out a way to score runs and to prevent runs. So I want to see him succeed. To me, he's kind of like a throwback looking guy.
Yes. All right, let's get to one more baseball topic, which is, should the Pohlads have spent more to give this team a fighting chance this year? And then we'll get to our Booze and Blues segment that we end every episode with. First, though, I want to thank a great Minnesota company, Minnesota Masonic Charities.
Today, I want to talk a little bit about the Minnesota Masonic Charities. When you think about the Masons, I get it. You think about the funny hats, those pancake breakfasts, which are phenomenal. My dear friend John Schweitz and I have chatted about this, and it's so much more than that. They've got the Masonic home over in Bloomington. They've got the hospital for the children over at the U of M. They are the largest fraternal organization in terms of charitable needs in our country, and they deserve a ton of recognition. So thank you, Minnesota Masonic Charities, for all you do and for supporting us over here at Talk North, and a special thanks to my good friend, John Schweitz.
And here's Talk North star John Krasinski for True Vision Institute.
True Vision Institute in Bloomington is the place to go for your vision correction needs. Go to truevision.com, set up a free consultation, go on into the folks at True Vision and just enjoy the hospitality and enjoy the education that you get in terms of the options that you have for vision correction. I had LASIK surgery at True Vision almost 2 years ago. It was an incredible experience. They bring you in. You're in and out of there very quickly, and within hours, you're seeing as clearly as I've ever seen. I have no need for the hassles of glasses and contacts anymore, and just life is smoother, life is easier since I went to True Vision. So go to truevision.com and set up your consultation, and then go through the motions. And you, by the end of it, when you come out of there, you will be saying, I should have done this 10 years ago, just like I did. True Vision, truevision.com.
So I look at this team and I see a team, listen, they're below 500 as we speak here today, which is Friday morning. I just don't think they have enough lineup depth or enough bullpen to survive. I think the starting pitching and the young starting pitching is legit, and I love the young arms. And I know they argue it because I first heard this argument from Andy McPhail in the early 90s. Andy's argument was, you're either trying to win a championship or you're rebuilding. I feel like when you're in target field and you do have some talent and you do have, the starting pitching is going to keep this team in a lot of games this year. I feel like you add one more bat, a first baseman who can hit, and a closer to this group, and maybe this team could hang around, or at least would have hung around longer.
Absolutely. I think they still have problems trying to figure out how to get to the ninth inning. Derek Shelton's doing things that Rocco never did, which is he's letting his starters go deeper into games.
Speaks doesn't have a bullpen.
I know. I'm worried. I'm worried about what this is going to look like in August. Once these guys hit a wall, is it all going to really fall apart? Because you feel bad, and there's nothing that can test the resolve, the fortitude, and the mental balance of a clubhouse than having a bullpen that consistently blows leads. When that starts happening frequently, that could bring in an air of despair in that clubhouse, and it could linger for a while. And you have to keep that in mind as you move forward here. But it's going to be hard for them to find bullpen arms because everybody wants to have a good bullpen. You have to find someone that's not in contention. I kind of feel that Tom Pohlad may have, had a few lunches with Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah because he is preaching a competitive rebuild, basically, which is impossible to do. Derek Falvey either said, you're either adding or you're subtracting. You're never straddling, And Tom cannot have the best of both worlds here. They stripped down that roster almost to the studs, except for Buxton and a couple other guys. They traded a fantastic bullpen away. And now you've got Justin Topa and Acton and some of these other relievers trying to hook and crook their way. Banda, Rogers, Funderburk. They're trying to use cutting and guile to get through batting orders, man, without much power. Andrew Morris is like a godsend because he should be starting, but they need that arm and that length in the bullpen to kind of help the two funnest days of the year is when they called up Kendrys Rojas and Connor Pralip and had Rojas and Morris coming out of the bullpen throwing 95, 96, 97, was able to kind of neutralize some guys, I kind of wish Rojas was back just for that, but he needs his face hitters. So, maybe next week we can get more into Connor Pralip because now that we've seen the slider, it's something else. But Yeah, they're in help because the start rotation is capable, a very capable start. It's a rotation that's good enough to lead a team that's playoff worthy. The lineup has holes. Don't like the defense. We got to admit that. And when your defense and your bullpen have issues, that's bad. So trying to sell this as we can be competitive is just, to me, empty promises from Tom Pohlad.
And here's the thing. I think too much of the debate has been, or the conversation has been, okay, either you made all those trades, therefore you can't compete this year. Well, you could have made all the trades, and if you bring in a closer and maybe one more bat or maybe two bullpen arms, whatever it is, then maybe you could have done both. You could have completely rebuilt your young pitching, brought in all these great prospects who are panning out, and you could have been competitive this year.
And when Falvey made these moves, he made sure they were like nearly ready guys so they could help sooner than later. And to be honest with you too, Jim, after watching Taj Bradley pitch, you make that trade every day, any day.
Every time.
Reliever, even though Jackson's a really good reliever, if you can trade a guy who's a reliever for a starter with that type of arsenal, you do it. So I'm all for that move. Still a hard pill to swallow with the Varland move. Varland's in town this week with the Blue Jays, but we see what Rojas could do, and you're sitting there going, okay, I kind of understand why they wanted this guy in this deal. So it could be better days. It could be, there could be a ray of sunshine here down the road, maybe in 2027 if there's a season. But you're right. They could have gotten just like a Kenley Jansen or someone, and tell them, look, be our closer. Let's see how this works. If we can make this work, we can have some fun this year. If it doesn't work, we'll trade you to a contender. You could have played that game, but they didn't even go that route. So that's where I had some problems in with them.
Agreed. All right, let's get to our Booze and Blues segment. I will start it off this week with a recommendation. We talk about great guitarists a lot on this show. Guy, I don't even know much about him. I just stumbled across him the other day, just listening to some, great guitar music. Guy named Quinn Sullivan, just a wonderful player. He does some Allman Brothers covers that he just absolutely nails. Plays with soul, with skill. I should have done more research on him. I promise we'll do some research on him, see if there's anything else people should know about him. I'll just say he's out on their social media playing some beautiful music. Check it out.
Wow, I like it. I'm going to keep my ears and eyes open for that name, and I am going to check it out. And that's a fine recommendation. I have another. This is kind of booze related. And Jim's going to fall off his chair when I bring this up, but finally, the White House did something that I could get behind. All right.
Oh my God. Okay. Let's hear it.
All right. King Charles came and visited the nation this week with Camille and had a conversation with our president, the Trumpster. And after Charles left, President Trump has announced that he's removing the 10% tariff on whiskey being imported from Scotland. All right. That's significant because this increases the cooperation and the collaboration between the Scottish people and the distilleries in Kentucky. Because when bourbon's made in Kentucky, they sell the barrels to Scotland, and that's where they store their whiskey in. Okay. The tariff was being felt here on the back end because of the 10% hike, and now that's been removed. That benefits all the Scotch drinkers in the world. It helps continue the strong business relationship between the Kentucky bourbon makers and the Scottish whiskey makers, and everybody's happy now that the teetotaler in chief has removed the 10% tariff on Scottish whiskey being imported into this country.
Please check in every week for our tariff updates from our economic forecaster, LaVelle E. Neal III. Beautiful stuff. All right, LaVelle, this season is going to continue to be interesting because of the young arms. I hope they can at least be competitive so we have all that to talk about. Next week, I don't want to talk about it every week, but I skipped Royce Lewis this week. We will get into Royce Lewis next week, see how he's coming along, and we'll continue updating you on what's happening at AAA and who might be on the way. So for today, thanks to Roy Smalley, our usual contributor who couldn't be with us today. Thanks to LaVelle E. Neal III. For TalkNorth.com, I'm Jim Souhan, and we will talk to you next week.